what Paulo Freire always said, that people need to talk.
It's an absolute must to come to places like those one where diversity of the people in the room who works around a similar kind of agenda brings something magical.
You meet different type of people that you wouldn't usually. I think that's important.
Sharing different experiences of different contexts, it's very inspiring.
Having different perspectives, different points of views, and different experiences is very, very richful and very interesting.
We shouldn't assume that everything that comes from the West or the North is bad, because you've got a lot of support around gender issues and rights issues from northern countries.
There are some similarities, and I think it's quite important at some point to try and draw out what some of those similarities might be, rather than just see us all working in different places.
We also talked a little bit about the kind of, I suppose, the climate change challenge, environmental challenge, and the extent to which the way we're talking about that is quite naive, and it doesn't really get to grips with the interests, the dilemmas, the need for, I suppose, multidimensional change and cross-disciplinary approaches to how we do things.
The examples from Bangladesh of whole communities going underwater is actually a global issue and is not necessarily be able to be addressed at a local level. So making those alignments between the global and the local.
I was really excited to hear about all the different approaches to community organising, especially international.
A lot of organising has been not just co-opted, but actually been mobilised in a very unwholesome and violent way.
Where people feel compromised around what they're doing, that they're thinking and articulating one kind of set of ideas, but in their practice, whether it's in community development, whether it's development, where it is, it's compromised, and the kind of extent of the pushback against resistance and how the kind of all of the factors you need to take into consideration when resisting something, because they can be very severe and they can be more moderate, but that none of us is outside compromise. We're all, in a sense, participating in compromised activities.
Communities are much more polarised than they've ever been, but also there's so much emotion involved within communities, and finding ways to bring those out, I think, is really important.
Whilst people have that identity and maybe have a cause which is really useful, we also need some sort of unity and solidarity, because in fact we are all being shafted. And divide and rule politics works really well, and we have to be careful not to get caught up in that.
The challenge for the practitioners and academics that are trying to understand how to not only transform, seek the incorporation of the people that they don't have voice in terms of social justice.
Don't be afraid to take a position, be as clear as you possibly can, and then that generates action as a result.
Is it that we need to be sharing tools, or is it that we need to be creating spaces to reflect and resources to enable people to have these kind of discussions that we're having today? Where are those spaces?
The kind of spaces that we need to create and sustain have to be safe spaces, first and foremost.
With ambition or modestly that the CDJ can address is providing space for kind of critical debate about the shrinking of space.
We have got a huge definitions on the concepts of community development and community organizing, and theories and models and approaches, that one. But the trouble one is that it doesn't fit with the all countries' aspects and components. That's the main problem. Whether we are going to define community development as a universal concept, community organizing as a universal concept, or a particular contextual part will be added there.
The corporatization of universities, so that they're not necessarily the spaces for knowledge generation, independent knowledge generation anymore.
CDJ is the only one there that actually has really rigorous peer review and is something that can be referred to by academics working in, researchers, teachers working in universities.
As a university, it is our struggle to how to democratize at our level, right? So it is how to make it as fighting our battle rather than fighting the battle of the community, right? So it's easy to talk about the fight of the community and we other it and we talk about power relationship at that level, but we often feel that we are the people who are going to change the world there. No, we have to change our world here.
It gives me a lot of hope hearing people in this room talking about really specific case studies as well of, I went in here, listened to these people, and then this action was created. And that for me is a sense of solidarity.
We do think people are experts in their own experience, but sometimes then it's like, how do you look beyond your own experience? How do you look beyond your own perspective and understand how your experience might connect to that of others?
It is really key to have those different aspects of community organizing, from those in position of power, for those who actually live the experience, and the practitioner.
Actually, as a paid worker, it's quite difficult because sometimes it's disingenuine. Where do we sit if we're paid? Where can we realistically be on that in a paid context?
If you're really striving for this high level of solidarity, doing this stuff about, look, I understand, I'm just like you. 20 years ago, I had this one experience, and then, and actually that comes across as really phony.
Authentic experience or lived experience, which is really important in the context of something like the disability movement and a whole lot of movements, becomes this cage then into which people get put. So, and how frequently that happens, and why does it happen?
People's knowledge of the situations they live in is recognised, valued and brought into the conversation. However, is that then what they're limited to? They're boxed into that. This is what you know. We'll come and tell you the other stuff.
In Scotland, they set solidarity targets.
Oh my God.
So that raises a whole lot. You could say how right on, or you could say, wow, wait a minute.
What do we mean by the hard to reach communities, and what is that construction about? And are they in fact, is it that the problem that those who make decisions are hard to reach, not that those people who are living their everyday lives are hard to reach?
How can we contribute to create hope that action actually matters? If the journal is to contribute to creating hope, it has to be accessible.
But kind of determined and clear about what this kind of a journal can achieve, and in what kind of circumstances.
What are the challenges for a journal to be independent and sustainable? Being political and being professional, both these things are something which is the challenge, I think, is something gets reflected here.
It's the journal in universities where community development is taught.
It's always good to meet people who do the same kind of job and being galvanized by their drive to keep doing it.
I think it's really valuable, and I'm really pleased that I came.
To hear from someone from Pakistan, someone from Norway, that's just been really great.
It really helped us to develop our ideas.
Never stop challenging what you think is right. And I think if we take one thing away, I think that's the thing I will take away.